greatest the world has ever known.
Сказки есть правда.
I heard the noise of thunder. And behold, hell followed with him.
Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we're going to do a review for the last Sony movie with Marvel, Kraven the Hunter. This film is rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 7 minutes. As of the recording of this video, we have a Rotten Tomato score of 15% for the critics, 71% from the audience, and a Letterboxd average rating of 2.1. So yeah, that's not very good just to start off. Before I give you the synopsis, I think this overall is not a very good film. Like there's something there, but just overall the way the final product came out, whatever ended up happening with reshoot or rewriting or adding things, whatever the case might have been, because this film's been delayed forever. So whatever all the changes have been, unfortunately, I think it made for a bad film. I can't imagine this being a worse film that got this. Like that's how much they could fix it. I feel like whatever they changed caused it to be more disjointed. But we'll get into all that. This film follows, of course, Kraven the Hunter, one of the more popular Spider-Man villains. If you make a list, like right after Kingpin, maybe in the Green Goblin, I would say Kraven the Hunter's probably right there in the third or fourth spot. But it follows Kraven the Hunter, a standalone story of how one of Marvel's most iconic villains came to be. Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Kraven, a man whose complex relationship with his ruthless father, Nikolai Kravinoff, starts him down a path of vengeance and brutal consequences, motivating him not to only become the greatest hunter in the world, but also one of its most feared. This is directed by J.C. Chandler, and I went to look at the filmography. Chandler directed Triple Frontier, which is a movie that I actually really enjoyed. Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Pedro Pascal. There was somebody else. It was four guys. Well, I guess maybe it was just those three guys. Um, I think there's one more person that I'm forgetting about, but I overall really enjoyed that movie over at Netflix. So I didn't really know who the director was. I saw a few promo videos with Aaron Taylor Johnson and the director, but I didn't really recognize him. I haven't seen a lot of. The only other movie that I saw that I kind of recognized was A Most Violent Year, but I haven't seen that film. It doesn't seem to have very high scores either. So yeah, let's talk about the cast a little bit. I'll go into more detail when I go to do my review. This stars, of course, Aaron Taylor Johnson as Sergei Kravinoff, aka Kraven the Hunter. Ariana DeBose as Calypso. Fred Ischinger, who we just saw in Gladiator 2, which my review may or may not be out of for that movie as of the when this goes up. So he plays Dmitry Kravinoff, aka a slight spoiler, I guess, unless you're a big fan of the comics, the Chameleon. Alessandro Nivola plays Alexei Sistovich, also the Rhino, as you've probably seen in the trailers. Christopher Abbott plays a villain called the Foreigner, or I guess an antagonist called the Foreigner. And then Russell Crowe, of course, as the patriarch of the Kravinoff family, Nikolai Kravinoff. Russell Crowe and his accent were on a whole other level on this one. Like, if you thought his accent in Thor: Love and Thunder was something else, let me tell you, this one might take the cake. I'm gonna go. So I have a list of things that I enjoyed about the film, things that I did not like, and I'm just kind of gonna go back and forth to kind of keep this in an even keel. Like I mentioned, I don't think overall this is a very good film. I will say over like leaving the film, I was entertained. I would also probably watch it again at home. Um, Maybe fast forwarding through some of the stuff at the beginning, and that's part of my first dislikes. This movie is just too long. It's got a runtime of 2 hours and 7 minutes. Like there's no need to put so much stuff in this film. I feel like they really could have trimmed up the first section where we get a lot of the background story. Matter of fact, with the flashback to 16 years prior, where we see the origin of Kraven the Hunter. And I feel like they just could have cut that out a little bit, cut it shorter. I think audiences at this point, even in origin films, unless it's an origin that it's crucial and essential to the character, you have to um, just stop doing it so long. Like I think audiences by this point are just willing to kind of roll with the punches. A lot of people, they either, if they care, they'll go and look it up themselves, or they probably don't care at all. Like I don't care how, you don't, I don't care how John Wick became John Wick, right? I don't need to see an origin story of Baba Yaga, although that'd be cool probably. But by the time we meet John Wick in his film, he's already John Wick. We get by context clues that he's a badass, and that's kind of what they should have done here, because I feel like this could have been a really cool John Wick style type of film that just happened to follow Craven, who is not a good person. We see that right at the beginning, and even in the 8 minutes that they Sony released. But yeah, this movie was just too long, which leads to another problem that I'll talk about a little bit later. One of the things I did enjoy was Aaron Taylor Johnson's performance. I think he was great. Um, the only thing I'll set aside is that nobody had accents to where you would think they would have them from, right? Like Aaron Taylor Johnson doesn't have a Russian accent. Calypso doesn't have an accent either. Like everybody spent time in New York, and now they have American accents for the most part, except Russell Crowe. So yeah, like that's something that I don't really care. But Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think his performance, he's got a lot of really interesting and cool line deliveries. Um, he's got great action sequences. You can tell he worked really hard to look the part as well. Like his abs should get their own separate credit. And I just really liked everything that he was doing with the film. I feel like he's one of the people that understood the assignment when it came to this film. Now, on the other hand, unfortunately, Ariana DeBose's Calypso's character was pretty diminished. Like she was kind of distilled down to being a health pack, like which sucks. Like that's all she really was. She was a little bit of a support character, but man, oh man, like I feel like in the comics the character is a little bit more well-rounded, and I would have liked to have learned a little bit more about her motivations. Are pretty flimsy here, um, especially when it comes to the relationship with Craven. Like they just expect a lot. They expect you to feel like, okay, yeah, I guess this works. And overall, like if you want to get past that, but I even feel like some of that time that we spent at the beginning could have been exploring a little bit of the Calypso that we see later on in the film. So maybe the film's fine at 2 hours. Just rearrange your priorities. So that's unfortunate. Now back to the good column here. The action sequences slash violence level, like that was great, very entertaining. It's pretty gruesome. There's some really gnarly kills. There's some really gnarly action. Some stuff that looks very cool. I really like every time Craven has to kind of run around and he gets into a more animalistic pose. Whether he's climbing up walls or just doing like whatever he's doing it physically, like I think I really enjoyed it. I think it looks cool. It fits with the film. It's definitely over the top, which is something that I would want in a film like this, right? Craven doesn't normally have like powers or anything, like, but he does have enhanced abilities, like physically, his senses are enhanced because of potions, herbs, whatever comic book thing you want to attribute. I don't know how much of it is enhanced by getting lion's blood in him. I don't think that's definitely not from the comics. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed that. There's a lot of really cool. Like every time an action sequence was going to happen, I knew I was in for a good time. I even timed my restroom escape to go in between some of those because you can kind of tell, something builds up. There's a really cool car chase that I really thought would, like, it just looked amazing. Um, there's some really cool fights in this fortress, and then of course kind of like the big final showdown. So yeah, I really like that. Now back to the things that I didn't enjoy as much. I feel like I don't know Alessandro Nivola much from anything. He's a character that plays Rhino. I just felt like that he was in a completely different film of his own. Like his performance was way too corny, too over the top. Like I know I just said I really like over the top stuff, but in this one it was too much. He was making choices that I don't know. It didn't make me feel like he was a worthy antagonist, mainly to Aaron Taylor Johnson or to Craven, which is unfortunate. Like I could see kind of what they were trying to do. There's some really kind of fun Easter eggs that are associated with him. So but yeah, overall, I didn't really think it was, yeah, it's not something that I enjoyed, unfortunately. So once again, like just his performance, a miss for me. I didn't really enjoy the character. Now back, this is my last thing that I'll highlight that I enjoyed during the film. The sibling relationship and dynamic between Dimitri and Sergey or Craven. I really liked it. I think Fred Hershinger really works as the chameleon, who is like the weaker of the two, but he's got his own attributes. Even the character of the chameleon is pretty fun in here, and you can tell that they were probably planning something else in the future if this had been more successful, which I don't think. Like Sony has pretty much announced that this is the last of what they'll do for Craven or for the Sony universe, which is unfortunate because some of the stuff I enjoyed, but it makes sense. Like it's just kind of time to maybe cut their losses here. But yeah, I think the sibling dynamic works. It's kind of the big driver of the film from the beginning. You can see that, and I just like the relationship. Any scene that had both Dimitri and Sergey interacting with each other, I thought was really fun. And there's even something towards the end of the film, which I feel like that was probably their original end credit, but then it got maybe too long, so they're like, "Oh, we'll just keep it in." So there is no end credit scene, but I think that they brought that in just to kind of have it as part of the film because they wanted to keep that part of the story. And then, of course, the relationship between them hinges upon their relationship with Russell Crowe, their father, who, like I said, over the top but not corny like the Rhino. His choices were amazing. Wardrobe, cravats, out like just I never seen so many different cravats in a movie. But yeah, and then the last point, which is kind of ultimately the biggest issue that I feel with the film, the story was just too convoluted. It was too disjointed, and it was really hard to follow along. Like there's a lot of times where you just have to be and kind of like go with it, like okay, whatever. Like it, in the end, the big thing that they were trying to put together feels like it doesn't matter, and that's unfortunate because these characters are cool. There's a reason that people have been following them for years in the comics, and it just kind of sucks to see that they were not executed all properly because you have just a story that wants to do too much and ends up doing too little. So, but yeah, there you have it. That's kind of my review of Kraven the Hunter. I'm gonna be talking a little bit more about this probably on the channel. I'm sure we'll talk about it on our next live. I'm also doing a podcast episode with my friends at the I Read Comic Books podcast where we kind of planned out this whole thing. So yeah, I'll be talking about Craven. I don't think I'll watch it again in theaters because there's so many other films that I want to watch towards the end of the year. But we'll definitely revisit it. A matter of fact, I can't wait to do like our whole live show on Kraven the Hunter. Maybe when this hits Netflix or something. So, well, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Kraven the Hunter for now. I might do a separate video with some fun Easter eggs and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what we'll have time to do for. But if you've seen this film, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned because we have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.